Well, good evening, and welcome to what we call here the Midweek Blessing. I'm Stephen Eastwood. I identify here online as the Simple Pastor, and you can find me at simplepastor.com. But here on YouTube and Facebook and in the room I have designated at my house, we are looking at the Sermon on the Mount, and we're just cruising our way through. By cruising, I mean we are finally on the sixth Beatitude. Blessed are the pure in heart. Now, when I first started out this series, I said something like, wouldn't it be great if instead of displaying the Ten Commandments at the front of our churches or in our courts or schools or wherever else in the public domain we're trying to push the Ten Commandments, instead of the Ten Commandments, what if we displayed the Beatitudes? And I've gotten into, I don't know if hot water is the right thing. I've shared this before. I've thought it all the way through. Often people just hear me say that I want to take the Ten Commandments out of churches, out of the public square. And that's not really what I'm trying to say. I just think we can do better. Better than the Ten Commandments. Well, what if we really did display the the Beatitudes? Now, if I were to put this verse up here, this comes from Exodus 20. This is from the commandments. This is the second commandment. The first commandment is you should have no other gods before me, and the second commandment slips right in. It's so similar that in some practices they view the first and second one as one, but most of the churches you've probably come across will have them separate. Here's the second one. You must not make for yourself an idol of any kind or an image of anything in the heavens or on the earth or in the sea. Don't make images. Now, like the Israelites back in the day looked at their neighbors and go, "Ooh, they have a king. Wouldn't it be nice if we had a king?" Christians today look at other religions and go, "Oh, they've got stuff. They got things they can polish and clean and look at and move around and display. And wouldn't it be nice if we could have some of that?" So we have the symbol of Christianity, the cross. Jesus on the cross for Catholics. Protestants will have an empty cross, the resurrected Christ symbol, if you like. So we've got ourselves our images, even in our churches. At the end of the commandments, I know we're not in the Beatitudes right now, but we are getting there. I'm doing something here. At the end of the commandments, when God was on the mountain, the Israelites had spent 3 days just cleaning, just getting ready for God's presence. 3 days doing nothing else but that. And at the end of the commandments, the Israelites were like, Moses, have God stop talking. We can't handle this. 3 days cleaning wasn't enough, and the truth is 3 months cleaning wouldn't have been enough either. So they said to Moses, "You go talk to God, and you tell us what God says. We'll be absolutely fine with that." So before Moses went up to the mountain, God sort of does a little reminder lessons and things. He just said, "Okay, well, Moses and I will go do our thing, but remember, you must not make any idols of silver or gold to rival me. None, nothing." Okay. So Moses goes up to the mountain. When he comes down 6 weeks or so later, the Israelites are dancing around the golden calf. They had made an image, broken commandment number 1. They had ignored the reminder at the end of it. With silver and gold, they built a golden calf to rival God. Now, we don't have golden calves literally in our churches. We have our own idols, things that are important to us that we've sort of depended on a little more than God. Our systems, our power structures, our ways of doing things. Even some of our beliefs. It's like, they sometimes become more important than God. But the Ten Commandments themselves have almost become an idol. There are big swaths of Christian communities that hold rallies and political rallies that are often filled with a lot of hate for certain people, but we put the cross as the symbol at the front. Other people are trying to get the Ten Commandments in our schools and in the courts, and churches will place them at the front of their foyer so that when people come in, like, we are a commandment believing church. It's almost like the commandments themselves have become an idol. So when I say, what if we put the Beatitudes at the front? What symbol represents the Beatitudes? Well, blessed are the peacemakers. We know what the peace symbol is. We can try and portray mercy. Today's Beatitude, today's blessing that we're focusing on is blessed are the pure in heart. We have the heart symbol. But I have tried, as I've gone through this series so far, to try and compare images between the commandments and the give an image reference to the commandments versus the Beatitudes. But you try searching an image search for the Beatitudes online, and you'll get hands praying, or the Virgin Mary, or maybe a Bible. There's no symbol for the Beatitudes. You just have to live it. You have to take Jesus at his word and seek his blessing and do the things and seek the things, the values that Jesus is talking about. So that's one reason why I take the commandments away from the public visual sight of line. You could tell mine was working. It didn't quite get line of sight. I think that's probably a little bit better. Um, and make the Beatitudes our central thing, the second covenant, the teachings of Jesus as he explains what is meant in the commandments. I don't think the commandments are bad. I just think they're a first step for a group of people that had lived enslaved lives for for generations. And God was taking them out of that, and he was moving them into a new way of living, which was going to take generations again. And it's still a work in progress, I think we could probably say. So we get to the New Testament and we get to the Sermon on the Mount, where Jesus has his people, his followers, his disciples, people who want to hear what Jesus has to say. And he starts off this amazing sermon. This sermon where he'll go, you've heard it said, but I say, which is kind of like, you know the Ten Commandments, but let me unpack them for you. That's my paraphrase there for this part of the Sermon on the Mount. So let's go to the sixth beatitude, the sixth blessing. And I think I've mentioned before, we don't always get all the blessings all the time. Sometimes we're at various stages of our life where certain blessings are very applicable, and God offers them, and we can follow God in this narrow way that can broaden out into a wide delta of refreshment and water and life. But here we are at the sixth one. God blesses those whose hearts are pure, for they will see God. Now, back in my early ministry, when I came up with this, it was not my early ministry, it was my latest ministry. But in my late 20s, early 30s, I came up with a mission statement for my ministry. Why am I a pastor? Why do I hang out in churches? And my mission statement became helping people see God, thinking that something as big and wonderful as God we should be able to see it. But often when we look for God, we look for solutions, and we look for pats on the back, and we look for money and ways out of problems, and no sin. And we look at the world and go, well, if there is an all-loving, all-powerful God, why is this happening? And when we look at the world that way, we don't see what God is up to. So instead of a boring, dull church existence where we go through the motions, not fully understanding what God is up to, I came up with a mission statement of helping people see God. What is God up to? What is he doing? Where is he in this world? And so I set about helping people see God. And here it says, the way you see God is by having a pure heart. Now, for just a moment, as we contemplate this blessing and how we might participate in this blessing from God, I'm going to use the words inward versus outward. So, when the Israelites were going to meet God at Mount Sinai, they prepared by cleaning themselves and their stuff for 3 days. Now, I'm guessing they didn't have a lot of stuff, so 3 days probably got their stuff pretty clean. At least as clean as you could be out in a desert without the amenities that we have today. No vacuum cleaners, no supermarkets to go down and get some good sprays for things. But I'm sure they had their ways to clean. They spent 3 days cleaning. And when God came down on the mountain, the thunder and the lightning, and the mountain shook, they realized 3 days cleaning was not enough. 3 months cleaning would not have been enough. 3 years cleaning would not have been enough. Cleaning the outward appearance is not how you see God. Rather, you prepare to meet God with your insides, or as God puts it here, with a pure heart. God blesses those whose hearts are pure, for they will see God. Now, the Israelite and the Jewish religion, like every other religion I've seen, the Israelite religion should have acted as a warning for us. I don't have my tea tonight. It's warm outside, but my voice clearly needs something, so I got my bottle of water. Excuse me a minute. Probably should have paused the recording for that. My voice is still a little shaky. Let's By the way, I have a new job. Same job, just a promotion. And it's kicking me. It really is. I have to do more hours, and I have to use my physical self and my brain at capacities I've never had to use before. I used to go, people think that pastors don't do much work. And yes, we do. Well, I have seen the light. Anyway, back to inward versus outward. The Israelites came up with a number of rituals to try and fulfill the call of God on their nation, on their tribe, on their families, on themselves. And there are hand washing rituals, things to keep themselves clean. They would show by how they were dressed how much they prayed. The length of the prayer reminder became a symbol of how righteous people were trying to be perceived. And this was instilled in the religion, in the culture of the Israelites in Jesus' day. We have our own equivalents of that in every religion today, including Christianity, which we claim to follow the commandments, but we still have our images, our golds, our silvers, our practices. So the Israelites at Mount Sinai were not prepared to see God. And Jesus, the Son of God, the Messiah, when he came, was not recognized by the religious leaders because they too were working on the outward appearance as opposed to the pure heart, as opposed to the inward appearance. So at this point, I actually want to go to Matthew 23. I put the quote, the reference at Matthew 23:23, but I kept reading and I kept wanting to add more verses, hence some very small text on your screen. I've got to squint up here too. So let me read this passage from Matthew 23. It is preceded by the Pharisees questioning Jesus, try to trick him, which was preceded by the Sadducees. I might have get that the wrong way around, but there were different groups of the religious leaders were trying to trick Jesus and trying to outsmart him and make him say something that he didn't really mean and have him say that publicly in front of people. And Jesus knew exactly what they were up to. And after lots of questions, this is what he says to the religious leaders. What sorrow awaits you, teachers of religious law, and you Pharisees, you hypocrites. For you are careful to tithe even the tiniest income from your herb gardens, but you ignore the more important aspects of law, justice, mercy, faith. You should tithe, yes, but do not neglect the more important things. You are blind guides. You strain your water so you won't accidentally swallow a gnat, but you swallow a camel. This is all the health rules that come from the Old Testament. They didn't want to accidentally eat an unclean gnat. But Jesus is saying, but through your practice, it's as though you're eating a camel. What sorrow awaits you, teachers of religious law, and you Pharisees, you hypocrites! For you are so careful to clean the outside of the cup and the dish, but inside you are filthy, full of greed and self-indulgence. You blind Pharisees! First wash the inside of the cup and the dish, and then the outside will become clean too. That's what Jesus says. Now, back in Matthew 5, where we have our Beatitude, Jesus says it this way: God blesses those whose hearts are pure, for they will see God. By Matthew 23, he is talking to the religious leaders, so pastors, bishops, conference presidents, people in charge of religions where you do so much to make your religion look good. Hey, look, we're giving to this, we're supporting that, we have this value. Whereas you stink, you smell, you are rotten on the inside. And this is hard to say because for many, many years, pastoring churches, I wanted to look good. I wanted to be perceived as a good pastor, a good person. And there's value in that, we think, because that gives us latitude to lead and to grow churches. But God's not interested in growing the outside. God doesn't bless the stained glass windows. God doesn't bless the pews and the knee pads. God doesn't bless the political statements we feel we need to make at this particular time. God blesses those whose hearts are pure, those who clean the inside of the cup and the dish, those who dwell on the more weighty issues of the law like justice and mercy. God blesses those whose hearts are pure. It's those people that will see God. So sure, dress nice for church, but, it's the inside that counts. Pray, confess, clean up the inside. Get rid of the muck that's blocking your view of God. Come to him. Let him in. Let him change you, clean you, grow you. There's a blessing in that. I'm guessing we will see that a little bit. A couple questions to ponder as we contemplate what it might mean in our lives to be pure, have a pure heart. Number one, where is your heart divided right now? What do you say you want versus what you're actually chasing? Do you get that? Because if you are a religious person that's trying to impress everybody around you, you're going to let everyone around you know what it is that you want. But what is it that you're chasing? Again, this is the one foot in each camp idea, in the God camp, in the self camp. Do they align? Number two, if the pure in heart will see God, as he promises, the blessing he's sharing here. What in you might be making that vision blurry? What's blocking your view of God? What's keeping you from God? These are the questions to ponder. Worth a minute or two of your time. Pause the video right now if you need a moment, or come back to it if you need to do that too. As always, love your company. With my new job, I feel, okay, I don't know, this is confession time, but I feel like there's just more and more things coming on trying to keep me away from what I really want to do. But at the same time, I'm not sure my heart is completely pure, or as pure as perhaps God's calling it to be. So I'll keep doing my job. I'll keep doing this. And we'll keep trusting that God does indeed bless. So if you want to join in this little experiment we have going on here, you can join me on Facebook, YouTube, or online at simplepastor.com. Where'd that come from? .com. And if you like and subscribe to this video and to this channel, that will act as a worldly encouragement to me as we go along. All right, we've got a blessing here. Let's see what God might be trying to say to us now, which is really just the 6th Beatitude, just expanded a little bit. Isn't that what preachers do? May God make your heart clean. Amen. May God make your heart honest and whole before him. May he clear away whatever is clouding your vision and draw you into the deep joy of seeing him more clearly. May you see God. Hey, thanks for being part of this, following along. If you've made it here to this part, you are part of this community for sure. For now, though, good night. I will hope to see you next week or two. All right, bye.